In the early winter of 1941, deep within a remote stretch of forest where frozen winds drowned out even the sound of artillery, an isolated military outpost simply vanished. No survivors, no bodies, no signs of retreat, no evidence of enemy capture, just an empty camp, deserted fires, half-eaten food, abandoned gear, and a silence so unsettling that even hardened officers refused to enter alone. For decades, official records reduced the incident to a single sentence: the outpost was lost under unknown circumstances. But newly uncovered field logs, damaged reports, and scattered testimonies from men who attempted a rescue reveal a far more disturbing truth. This is the story of the outpost that disappeared without a trace, and the soldiers who were never seen again. In late 1941, as winter tightened its grip, a remote outpost, known officially only as Station 17B, was established to monitor enemy activity across a dense, sparsely populated wooded region. The location was chosen strategically: a narrow valley with only one passable road, heavy forest canopy capable of hiding troop movements. Far from major towns, difficult for enemies to navigate. The outpost wasn't large, just 23 men, a handful of bunkers, a radio shack, and a watchtower built from rough timber. Most soldiers assigned there considered it a quiet post, even a lucky one, away from constant shelling, away from large-scale offensives. But isolation brings its own dangers, ones that don't show up on maps. Station 17B's roster was a blend of young recruits, experienced winter scouts, a small engineering squad, a medical orderly, one radio operator, and a lieutenant barely 26 years old. They were not elite commandos or decorated veterans, just ordinary soldiers tasked with surveillance and forward reporting. Among them were Corporal Heinrich Adler, a sharp-eyed spotter known for his calm under pressure; Private Emil Kraus, a mechanic who had a reputation for fixing anything with spare metal and wire; Sergeant Otto Brandt, the senior NCO, strict, serious, and respected; radio operator Lucas Brenner, quiet but precise, responsible for maintaining daily communication reports. These men would become names written on missing persons lists and classified files. In early December, unusual things began happening around the outpost. The men reported strange echoes at night, flickering lights deeper in the forest, unexplained animal silence, compass needles spinning unpredictably, tracks in the snow that didn't match known patrol routes. At first, officers dismissed these claims as stress or winter hallucinations. But then came the radio disturbances. Daily transmissions became distorted. Static filled entire messages. Sometimes the men could hear faint voices, unintelligible, fragmented, cutting into the frequency. Even stranger, the interference would stop instantly whenever a patrol left the perimeter, and resumed the moment they returned. Something was moving in the woods around Station 17B, and it was getting closer. On December 12th, the outpost sent a routine report: visibility low, patrols limited, no unusual activity. The message cut off mid-sentence. Radio operator Brenner attempted to repeat the transmission. Only fragments came through, crackled, distorted, almost swallowed by static. Minutes later, he sent a final, short burst. Movement in the tree line, multiple silhouettes, not ours. It was the last verified communication ever received from Station 17B. When the outpost went silent for 12 hours, officers assumed equipment failure. At 24 hours, they suspected a storm had cut wires or damaged the antenna. At 36 hours, they sent a small rescue unit, 8 men, 2 sled teams, and a winter scout. The rescue unit reached the valley at dusk, but something felt wrong immediately. No smoke from chimneys. No guards at the watchtower. No movement around the camp. And the snow was untouched. No footprints. No signs of battle. No drag marks. No retreat paths. It was as if the men had stood up and vanished into thin air. The rescue team entered Station 17B with caution. Inside, they found tables set as if for a meal, tools laid out mid-repair, footlockers open, beds unmade, a kettle still warm, lanterns burning low. Nothing was stolen. Weapons remained in their racks. A deck of cards was scattered across a table. Someone had been mid-hand. But the strangest discovery was in the radio shack. The final message, Brenner's last transmission, was still written halfway on a log sheet. The pencil lay on the floor. The chair toppled. Whatever happened had occurred instantly. No struggle, no alarm raised, no signs of panic, just disappearance. Outside, the rescue team searched for footprints. They found some, but not the ones they expected. Circling the outpost were parallel rows of deep impressions, almost mechanical in shape, too heavy for human steps, too narrow for standard vehicles, and arranged in perfectly straight lines. One scout described them as tracks that didn't belong to anything we knew or used. They followed the impressions into the forest, and after 200 meters, the tracks simply stopped, as if the object that made them had lifted off the ground. 2 days later, additional rescue efforts expanded the search area. They soon found evidence that one of Station 17B's patrols had attempted to return to the outpost. Near a frozen creek, investigators discovered a torn glove, a snapped rifle strap, a notebook with half-written coordinates, 3 shell casings, fired recently, but no footprints belonging to the missing patrol, only the same parallel mechanical impressions. Something had intercepted the patrol before they reached the outpost. None of the men were ever found. Back at command headquarters, officers filed the event under abnormal disappearance. But several classified memos, uncovered decades later, paint a different picture. One memo mentioned unknown equipment sightings. Another referenced unverified enemy technology. A third noted complete vanishing of personnel without evidence of engagement. Some reports were heavily redacted, entire paragraphs blacked out, dates erased, witness names removed. The disappearance of Station 17B wasn't ignored. It was buried. Over the years, historians and analysts proposed multiple theories. 1. Covert enemy operation. A stealth unit moving silently under night cover. But this didn't explain the lack of tracks. 2. Natural disaster. Sudden ice collapse or sinkhole, but the outpost showed no structural damage. 3. Abandonment. The men panicked and fled, but they left everything behind: gear, food, weapons. 4. Misidentified machinery. Perhaps an enemy vehicle with unique treads, but no known design matched the strange impressions. 5. A classified experiment gone wrong, a theory hinted at in later testimony from retired officers. None of the theories could fully explain the disappearance. In the 1960s, decades after the war, forestry workers stumbled upon something buried under layers of snow and ice. A rusted metal structure, cylindrical, reinforced, partially collapsed. It contained shattered glass, burned wiring, unidentifiable metallic plating, markings in no known language, scratches resembling tools or weapons. Some speculated it was wreckage from an experimental machine. Others believed it had nothing to do with the war. But one detail stood out. The underside of the metal fragments matched the parallel impressions found in the snow back in 1941. Whatever moved through the forest that winter was the same thing that left this wreckage behind. Today, Station 17B remains one of the most mysterious disappearances of the war. No bodies were ever recovered. No weapons identified the cause. No battle reports matched the incident. The outpost's coordinates were eventually erased from military maps. All that exists now are a few redacted pages, a handful of testimonies, strange mechanical tracks no one could explain, and the chilling silence of an empty outpost, abandoned mid-life. The men who vanished that winter left behind no answers, only questions. And the forest still holds secrets that may never be fully uncovered. The outpost didn't fall in battle. It didn't retreat. It didn't surrender. It simply vanished.